Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Inside the Psac. I'm your host, Gary Smith. It's hard to believe, but we're at the end of January, which means the end of the first half of divisional play in the Psac basketball. Let's take a look at where things stand. First, in the women's side of things, and starting with the Psac West. As you can see, IUP and Gannon both at 1 and 2. IUP undefeated in the Psac this year, 13-0, 18-1 overall. Gannon in second place, then Edinboro, Cal U, and Seton Hill all fighting for that third spot. Pitt Johnstown a game behind with Mercyhurst, Slippery Rock, and Clarion all towards the bottom. As you see on the right hand of the screen, though, 6 teams in the Psac West with double-digit wins, a very competitive division for sure. Now switching over to the Psac East. Shippensburg has made a run as of late and has surged to the top of the Psac East. They have a 1-game lead over East Stroudsburg, 2-game lead over Shepherd and Kutztown, and then Lock Haven, Bloomsburg, Westchester all fighting for that last Psac East playoff spot, which will be here at the end of February, then Millersville and Mansfield. And you can see on the right-hand side of the screen the overalls, 5 teams in the Psac East with double-digit wins. So the simple math means that there are 11 teams in the Psac that have double-digit wins on the women's side. So a very competitive season so far. Let's look at last week's players of the week in the Psac, starting first with the East Division. We're going to start with the East Offensive Player of the Week, Lauren Lister of Millersville. She had 34 points versus Mansfield and 24 points versus Lock Haven, both wins for the Marauders. And then the East Defensive Player of the Week was Sydney Clayton of Shepherd. She had 14 rebounds and 6 blocks and 2 wins for the Rams. Now switching over to the Psac West Players of the Week, both from Edinboro this week. The West Offensive Player of the Week was Michaela Barnes. She had 2 wins. She started 2 wins for Edinboro, 27 and 25 points. And then Sanaya Sharp for Edinboro. She had 2 triple-doubles and wins over Seton Hill and Slippery Rock. So a very big week for the Edinboro duo in wins versus Seton Hill and Slippery Rock. Now let's take a look at the schedule for this upcoming week in the Psac. First, Wednesday night, all but 1 game starting at 5:30. As you see, Clarion will be at Cal U, Edinboro at Mercyhurst, Seton Hill at IUP, Gannon at Slippery Rock, Mansfield at UPJ. And that is the only crossover this week. And like I said, the only game that starts at a time other than 5:30 is the 6 o'clock game for Lock Haven and East Stroudsburg. Now looking forward to the weekend, February 1st, Groundhog's Day Eve in the Psac, and I guess in the entire world. Slippery Rock at Cal U, that game will be in Hamer Hall, so a little bit of a throwback action for Cal U and the Rock. And all these games are at 1 o'clock. IUP, Mercyhurst, Seton Hill, Clarion, Pitt Johnstown, Gannon, East Stroudsburg at Shippensburg, Shepherd at Lock Haven, Mansfield, Westchester, Bloomsburg at Millersville, and then Edinboro and Kutztown have the bye this week as we're going to start seeing teams have a bye in the second half of divisional play. And stay tuned and keep track of everything Cal U Vulcan related and the Psac first. Let's make sure you follow along with the Psac at www.psacsports.org for all the players of the week, schedule, standings, and more. And for Cal U and CUTV specific stuff, first follow our our YouTube page, smash that like button and subscribe button so you can see when everything's live or new videos are uploaded. That is CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube. And you can also follow along and definitely like us and follow along at Twitter, which is where you see a lot of our crew pictures and all of our live links when they are available. That is at CUTV_PA. And moving forward, you can also follow along and listen to all the live broadcasts of the games on 91.9 FM WCAL. And if that doesn't take care of your need for Vulcan athletics and information, make sure to check out the good work our friends over at Cal U Sports Information, Matt Kiefer and Alex King and their staff do a great job at www.calvulcans.com. After the break, we'll take a look at the men's side of action in the Psac. We'll be right back.
Sometimes we can do things that exclude others.
You still talking to your friend?
It's complicated.
I think he went back in. We gotta go get him.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Even the smallest words and actions can have a big effect on someone.
You have the skills.
Because of you, someone's entire day, their year, or their life can change.
Remember, the future is in your hands.
Visit becauseofyou.org to learn more.
Totally, let's do it.
It's time to make the PSAC yours. More than 7,500 student athletes working to become champions in 23 championship sports at 18 universities, educating more than 118,000 students, and supported by an alumni base of over 900,000. All in and all ready to make the PSAC yours. It's the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
Consider the future. Your future. At California University of Pennsylvania, you can build your life your way because we believe in you. We invest in you, empower you to create the future you envision. We give you the tools and teaching so you can rise up and achieve. Don't settle for someone else's vision of you. Build you at CalU. Visit us at calu.edu.
And welcome back to this week's edition of Inside the PSAC. Once again, I'm your host, Gary Smith, and we covered everything on the women's side of the PSAC basketball. Let's take a look over at the men's side of action. First with the PSAC West. Atop the West, IUP 12-1 in conference, 17-1 overall. UPJ a game behind, 10-3 in conference, 16-4 overall. And a surging CalU, a game behind UPJ, 9-4, 13-6 overall. And then you see Mercyhurst, Gannon in the middle, Slippery Rock, Clarion, Edinburgh, and Seton Hill, though Slippery Rock has a 3-game lead over Clarion for that last PSAC playoff berth. And as you can see, 5 PSAC West teams with double-digit wins. And looking over at the PSACs, a lot of changes in the last week and a half as Westchester, who had been in control pretty much from the beginning of the season, has folded as of late. And Shippensburg now has a 4-game lead over the Rams. They are 12-1. Westchester clocking at 8-5, Millersville 7-6, and then a logjam between East Stroudsburg, Kutztown, Shepherd, Lockhaven, and Bloomsburg, and Mansfield for that matter, all fighting for that last PSAC playoff spot, which will be the 6th seed. So a lot to play for in the last 5 weeks of the season. And on the right side of the ledger, the overall records, you can see the top 4 teams in the PSAC East, all with double-digit wins. But once again, Shippensburg is on fire as of late in the PSAC East. Let's take a look at the players of the week this past week in the PSAC. First, on the eastern side of the action, Jake Biss for Shippensburg, 22.5 points per game in wins over Kutztown and Lockhaven. And on the east defensive side, Millersville's Ryan Davis had 3 steals, 2 blocks, and 9 rebounds, which may not seem like a lot, but a rebound on a block led to a big run towards the end of Millersville win this past week. Now let's take a look at the Western players of the week. First, the West Offensive Player of the Week, Malik Miller of IUP. He averaged 24.6 points per game in wins over UPJ and Clarion. And the West Player of the Week for the second time, CalU player back-to-back weeks, Jermaine Hall Jr. this week was the Vulcan recipient of the West Defensive Player of the Week. He had 17 rebounds in wins over Gannon and Mercyhurst and was a beast on the defensive board. 16 of those 17 rebounds were on the defensive glass. Let's take a look at the schedule. It's going to look very similar to the women's side because as keen viewers of the PSAC basketball know, it's all doubleheaders from here on out for the most part. All the games except the Lockhaven and East Stroudsburg game will be 7:30 tips for Wednesday, January 9th. California will be hosting Clarion at the Convocation Center. So if you're in California, come on out to the women's game at 5:30, men's game at 7:30. And looking again at February 1st, this Saturday's action, Groundhog's Day Eve. You'll see it at the top will be California. We'll be hosting Slippery Rock. That game will be at 3 o'clock in Hamer Hall. And once again, all the games in the PSAC West this week will be at 3 o'clock. And then Edinburgh and Kutztown will be enjoying some much-needed R&R they will have off. But to keep track of all the scores and information, make sure to go to www.psacsports.org and follow along with all the players of the week, schedule, standings, and more, and scoreboards as they happen for teams in the PSAC. To follow along with CalU, make sure to smash our subscribe button for CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube. That's where you'll find live game action wherever you are, and you can also see our highlights that we upload and everything like that. Also follow along and become a follow of our Twitter at CUTV_PA, and that's where you will find all kinds of information, our show links, our game links, and pictures of our crew. And also you can listen to all the games. If you're in the car, you can tune in to 91.9 FM WCAL. That is a 40-mile radius from campus. And also, you can go on the Radio FX app and listen to it wherever you are in the world. Once again, if that's not enough information for the Vulcan fan in you, make sure to check out all the hard work that our good friends over at Sports Information, Matt Kiefer, Alex King, and their staff. They will have player bios, stats, updated schedules, rosters, and everything you can want in the world of Cal U.